This is Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, you would type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. Will sound like a sales pitch for Ubereats, and I claim it is not. So to the extent it sounds like one, you're not hearing me right. And I'll give you an example. I have 6 people who have used my code and enrolled or began enrollment enough that I got notified that I had, quote, recruited them. And one of them, I won't talk about one of them advanced. Her name is Keisha, and she made the minimum, and I got paid $10. It was a huge celebration for me. 5 of the 6, the status as it shows in my account says they either need to complete the minimum or some says it needs a complete registration. So here's my point. This is not for everyone. I don't know why these people haven't advanced, but for that matter, I don't know why they used my code and enrolled in the first place. I don't know who these people are. So who am I to say, why aren't you advancing? I have no idea why they decided to register and why they chose my code. So this is my point. 6 people register, and 5 of them passively say, this isn't for me. Well, I continue to do these videos, and my excitement for them is steady. I've been doing it long enough. I think I'm going to continue. I had a disaster a couple of years in 2016 with Postmates. It was great. It was fun, but I got terminated because I wasn't fast enough. And then a significant period of time passed, and then Ubereats came to my neighborhood. Fortunately, I learned from some mistakes in Postmates, and now my Uber rating is good, where my Postmates rating was not good. So here's the sales pitch. This is why it's great. I'm trying to pick some element of my life that might apply to others. So for me, it's my relationship with my wife. So by the way, I'm going to claim in this that it sounds like I am claiming I have a good marriage. One of my biggest pet peeves is when Christians say, I love my wife. You know, I don't care if you love my wife. So just recognize I'm making statements that are kind of like that, but I'm trying to temper the irritating part of it by saying I might be lying. I might not even have a wife, or my wife has a boyfriend, or whatever. However, I'm going to refer to my wife, and instead of thinking about a wife or a husband, imagine what that relationship might be characterized by this. You have an appointment with someone, and something happens and they're going to be late. You don't just cancel the appointment. Now, I'm not claiming this has to be a wife or a girlfriend or a husband. You might be heterosexual, married to a man, and you've got a boyfriend. You might be a middle-aged woman, and you got a boy toy, and the excitement to see this man, you know, your husband's in Asia, and, you know, oh my God, I'm going to be late. Hey, you're going to wait. It's a funny scene in Sex and the City when Amanda puts sushi all over her body and waits for her boyfriend. You know, these are these relationships that, you know, you don't just cancel meetings, you wait for these people. Well, this is the coolest thing about Uber and an Ubereats bicycle, not cars. Cars can be a problem because suddenly you say yes, and you are now occupied for the next hour and a half, or maybe even longer. So with Ubereats bicycle or Ubereats walking, you're assured to be done pretty soon and know that you're not 20 miles away. So you can, oh, what do you know? In my case, Hannah's going to be late a couple nights ago. So great. I just kept working. I just kept doing deliveries. So listeners, what I'm trying to tell you is Uber is cool in some ways. And there's reasons not to do it. And one of the biggest reasons not to do it is you say accept, and next thing you know, you're committed for a long period of time. And as you accept, you don't know how long you're going to be committed. But with Uber Eats Bicycle or Uber Eats Walking, that does not happen. So Hannah's late. I'm having drinks with a friend. And I just stayed online. And I was already in Hoboken, which is my preferred place. And so there you go. That sounds like a sales pitch. But again, I recognize 5 people have decided I'm going to put in Tom Duty's code to register. I guess I don't care. There's some reason I don't want to. I learned more about Uber. It's not for me. And believe me, it's not for you. So the extent I sounded like a sales pitch, it's not. I'm just saying Uber Eats Bicycle, Uber Eats Walking has the ability to just conveniently fill some time with something productive. Feeding the hungry. It's great. It's fun. And now I'm going to share my screen and go to Instagram. Okay, so here's Instagram. First, this one right here. This came to me in a notice from Uber New Jersey. I have 2 accounts, so I get both Uber New Jersey updates and Uber New York updates. And it just doesn't mean updates. It's like newsletter and that sort of thing. So I'm going to read the text that goes with this. But for people who aren't local, people who are local don't know New Jersey, this is Staten Island. And this is an odd line through here, but if you're registered Uber Eats, you can. If you're registered Uber Eats New Jersey, you are able to. You are green in Manhattan. An Uber person told me that's unusual. Usually you're, in this case, you can't do Staten Island, but you can do Manhattan. They have a deal brokered with the 2 different Uber groups. I don't know the background, but that's why that normally this would cut right through here, up the Hudson River, and then over here, that would follow the state line. But this bulge right here picks up Manhattan. And the news associated with this is some of these parts are new, and I can't really tell which are new from the map, but I can tell in a moment when I read this. This is my recent pay. I made $45. I did 8 trips. I was online for that long, 6 hours, 8 trips, and I made $45. I canceled nothing, and I accepted 53%. Listeners, if you were to go back to this number used to be much higher. I'm getting more selective. I'm trusting that they really mean it, and this doesn't negatively affect me. My rating, that is. Uber Eats continues to make delivering food in New Jersey even easier. We recently launched in New Brunswick, Edison, Woodbridge Township, and Union areas. So I don't know all these, but I do know Edison, and the way they word this tells me it's Edison with some areas around Edison. Hundreds more restaurants to partner with, blah, 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 blah. So again, I'll read the additions. Uber New Jersey has expanded now. New Brunswick, Edison, Woodbridge Township, and Union areas. And so those 2 were part of the New Jersey announcement. And then here's part of the New York announcement. By the way, this is Uber jargon. As far as I can tell, this means FIDI, which is financial district. And that's not familiar to my wife. My wife is a New Yorker. That is not local jargon, but it makes sense, and I'll tell you why. Villages, that's East-West Village and the NYU area and Midtown. So these are the boost for those. And then financial district in Upper Manhattan. So here's why I conclude this is financial district. Listeners, please recognize I could be wrong. Is unfamiliar to me. FIDI is unfamiliar to me. But it makes sense if you do the villages in Midtown, and then you take the part of Manhattan south of that section, and you take the part of Manhattan north of that section, This would be Financial District and Midtown. So those areas get less boost. Well, they're off peak. The boost is the same, but 1.3 really isn't that much. Listeners, I am not a late night person. I don't really want to be doing deliveries late night in Manhattan. And I don't know. Oh, here, late night is after 2 a.m. So if you go after 2 a.m. till 8 in the morning, which from my experience is a shitty time to be in Manhattan. But if you want to be, you can get 2.5 to 3 times. You can get a triple boost. And I have delivered when the boost is 2.2, which is, this plus a little bit. And it really does make a difference. Instead of $3, I get 10 on a easy delivery. So there you go. That's again, I mentioned that I get both New Jersey newsletters and New York. This is New York. The promotion Uber Select Delivery Partners, recipients of this email. Oh, I don't know why that text is kind of dumb. I guess I explained it here. I probably put that text there in case someone's trying to make sense of what this is and they're not listening to my audio. So this one, I have created in my YouTube channel, I've created a playlist. Now, playlist is sort of for things that are archive worthy. At least the creator, the manager of the channel believes that they're archive worthy. Someone's going to come to the page and say, oh, I like this. I want to do more of it. Well, the playlist is where to find that. Now, I have one that I believe archive worthy, and I have seen the stats when people get interested in a particular playlist and they start going through it. However, I don't think what I'm doing, I don't have any evidence that it's true, and I'm relatively sure what I'm doing with Uber is not archive worthy. I'm able to attract and retain the attention of people, but I don't think they're going back and listening to old ones. However, I do have 2 that I believe are archive worthy. These are the kind of things, if you're listening to me now and you're just listening because it's fresh and you think, oh God, this guy keeps doing them multiple times per week. What am I going to go back and listen to? I'm kind of interested. I sort of want to listen to more, but I don't even know where to start. Well, these are the 2. One is 8 minutes. One is 14 minutes. I claim they are archive worthy. One talks about boost in a very detailed way that circumstances lined up. It was like the perfect storm to be able to answer a question, which I won't describe now because it's too complicated, but I describe it. Take 14 minutes to do it in that video. And on this 8-minute video, I describe my new gig, which continues to be my current gig, with a second phone. So it's a tech solution for a problem I was having, and this describes a solution. This is just, this was the sunset over New Jersey, and Manhattan kind of was lighted in a way, and my camera didn't do very well, but I thought that was a cool picture. That was tonight's sunset. So I boxed this out. This is 1.5 miles. It is my conclusion, to the best of my ability, which is relatively thorough now, that 1.5 is the maximum for a bicycle in New Jersey. And I have reason to believe that's a maximum for bicycles where all places Ubereats allows bicycles. I have been told numbers at Uber that are just not correct. Uber pros will say that number, and they say a number that I know is wrong. Like, I've been told a mile, and next thing you know, I get a 1.25 miles. So this is not because someone told me. This is what I believe the maximum is from experience. And again, I'll return to my point where I started. Again, it's kind of a sales pitch. It's why would you want to do Uber? And I was describing relationships. All of a sudden, you end up with time on your hands that you didn't expect to have. Think about what you do during that time. Listeners, like for me, I blog, I read news. What else do? We smoke cigarettes and sit in a bar. We generally, when we have slack time on our hands, a lot of people do stupid stuff. And I'm not saying, so here's I know this sounds like listeners, this sounds like a bad sales pitch, but is Uber Eats great? Well, no. I got 5 people that put their code in there, and if for some reason they decided, no, it's not great, it's not for me, and I'm not going to do anything with it. So they're passively saying no. Keisha's the only one that said, yep, I'm going to put in the code, and yep, and yes, and yes, and yes. And she moved right through and registered and reached her minimum. So my point is this: is Uber Eats that great? Well, yeah, for most people, it's not. If you're listeners, if you've heard any of my videos, you'll know for me that it is. So why do Uber when it's not that great? Why do Uber when so many people are saying, it sounds cool, it's not for me? Here's why. Don't compare it to other great things, because it's not great. Compare it to the stupid things you do when you have unexpected time on your hands. You know, in my neighborhood, people sit on the steps. I get friends that'll sit in a bar. I get friends that gamble. Bottom line, when we have unexpected time on our hands, you know, we clean the house. You know, it probably is going to be okay if you don't clean the house, but you end up cleaning the house. You take out trash. These aren't dumb things. They need to be done, but they could also wait. So don't compare Uber against other great things. Don't compare Uber against other jobs. Compare Uber against the dumb things you would be doing if you had unexpected time on your hands. This has been Tom Duty, middle-aged American living in New Jersey near the Lincoln Tunnel. If you were to visit my website, type Howdy Doody into Google. You'll find the correct spelling of the famous puppet. You then combine Tom Duty in a Google search for my site. Thank you for listening. Have a good day, good evening, or restful night's sleep. Ciao.